Hey there, I'm Andy, and you stumbled upon my channel where I teach you in public how I'm building a $1 million marketing and community empire and showing you how it's done in live time. Currently not there yet. The three aspects of my business, if you are new to the channel, are my main horse, which is my design studio. We do web and SEO for healthcare. That's called MMG Design. That on aggregate generates between 10 and 30K per month. As you guys know, incomes fluctuate when you're a freelancer. Second leg of my business is the Columbus Marketing Organization, which is my premium mastermind community and job board for marketers here in Columbus. And the third leg of that is my podcast, Marketing by Design. 167 episodes in 3 years running. We talk to marketing leaders in B2B, healthcare, and beyond. And what you guys will see here is that the podcast really informs a lot of the top of funnel and nurture for both of these platforms. That's kind of how it works into my overall strategy. So today's video, we're going to be touching on a topic that's near and dear to my heart, and that is the boring work, lead gen. I'm going to be doing an hour of just lead generating activities and show you guys how I move my business forward. These are the activities and the actions that need to be done in order to get the results that you want. So I have a whole list of things that I need to be doing. I already spent this morning sending video outreaches via Tela, this platform I'm recording on right now. So I'm going to take you guys over my shoulder and show you everything I'm doing to generate leads as it is. And it's spread between multiple different activities. So what you guys are going to be seeing me do today is the highest leverage things that get me towards the goals that I want. I have a list of people that I want to send emails to, follow-ups. LinkedIn, you're going to be seeing me spend some time on LinkedIn, replying to messages, responding to DMs, comments, strategic comments on posts. What I actually do here is that I have a daily actions checklist where I go through and I manually keep track of all the outreach that I do, the platforms that I do it on, so I can store that. It's also a method of accountability that I find because a lot of people tend to skip the boring work, and getting to 100 of these every day across all platforms is incredibly helpful. And that way I know I'm doing what I need to do in order to get the results that I want. So I'm going to go ahead and stop babbling here and get started. I'm going to try and keep the audio running for about an hour, but my plan here is to talk through everything that I do while I do it. And yeah, everything I do to keep the pipeline full. So in terms of priorities, I have this list built ahead of time. I have these people I need to send emails to. I'm going to start with my follow-up emails and then go on to LinkedIn, leave a few comments, and then head over to the DMs, probably send a few cold DMs. And yeah, so let's get started. I'm going to move the mic over here a little bit just for communication purposes. You guys will still be able to hear me. But let's get rocking and rolling. Let's start with emails. So I have 2 leads to follow up on that are kind of outdated. One of them is a website project. Oh, we have a lead right here. Hi, Andy. Apologies for the delayed response. We truly appreciate your offer to help with the website, and especially value your assistance in checking its responsiveness across different browsing devices. One challenge we've encountered in the past is that everything looks great on the desktop version, but the layout can get a little funky on mobile browsers. My only hesitation stems from a previous experience in which someone we hired made significant changes to the website's content and design without discussing it with us first. I'd like to for sure make sure we maintain our current content and overall design direction. If you can identify what are the changes we'd recommend, I'd appreciate the opportunity to discuss with them before anything substantial is made. Thank you again. We'd be very grateful for your help. Amazing. So this was a warm intro that I received, and it's for a healthcare website, so I voluntarily jumped in. They worked with a half designer, just to add this context here. Nice to meet you. A little context where we are currently. We went with the graphic designer, and then her business stopped, and then the process didn't go with her as she hoped. So she has had, from a lead perspective, this person has had multiple bad experiences, and it clearly makes her look bad to the people that are internal at that company. So really what we want to do with this response is, other than the fact that she wrote it with AI, is merely put her mind at ease. Show her that we're different. What I did in the initial message here, as I said, we work exclusively with healthcare brand as a relatively easy fix. So she already has that peace of mind that I came in from a trusted source, that I know what I'm doing. And my message, my goal with this response is to put her at ease and mention, okay, we're here to help you and nothing's going to be published on your lines. We understand that people who are freelancers probably don't take this as seriously as we do, and we've seen this before. So what I'm going to use is, I'm going to use Claude to help me draft a response here. Hey, so this is an email that I just got from Howie on the website, what I want you to do is draft 3 different versions of a response that put her at ease, mention that I've seen this before, and I think it's a good idea to just get on a call to clarify, and nothing would be published on her end. I understand there's an element of trust that needs to be gained here, and that a lot of times, and in full transparency, like in our industry, this is where this is not uncommon. But we've been doing this for 6 years, and we don't plan to stop anytime soon. Either way, I understand trust needs to be gained. It would love to get on a call first. No M dashes, be friendly and sincere, and drop my call link. So, another key feature of Whisperflow that I do thoroughly enjoy then is this thing called snippets. So I can say a certain key phrase within that I've already stored within Whisperflow, and it will allow me to automatically type out that phrase. So this is very helpful for things like snippet here. I want for podcast onboarding, podcast linked, employee meeting, client meeting, networking call, client call. What I found too is, so what do I have to say is, here is my call link. Networking call. Networking call. Gonna give us 3 different versions of response. Obviously, we'll go through and tailor that. But this is a great use for Whisperflow, and I just love their product as a whole. Makes outreach very succinct, very amazing, and honestly a lot of fun to do. So, these 3 responses, thanks for the reply. No worries, the time to put in without hesitation, honestly. AI. That. They would be changed or published on your values paying over it. I completely understand there's a trust aspect to this, so I would love to just get on a call to get introduced. Here. Something I've also found too is when you name a call a networking call, kind of puts the prospect at ease. So if I go into a call with a networking call and it's not titled sales call, you can really control the space of the customer journey. So a call where we can talk life, your journey, and maybe business if that comes up. So this is a nice little touch point in that journey that doesn't make them feel like they're opting into a sales call, which I found to be really helpful. Now I do have to kind of adjust the timing on this. So unfortunately, the only did happen anytime there. Hopefully that's okay with her, but be a little bit more enthusiastic to match her tone. So, obviously, another thing that's very important with this is speed to read. So, if you notice, set that 19 minutes ago, and I responded within 20 minutes. So, ideally, to be a little bit quicker with that, I was setting up this video, setting up a little bit of a pass there, but yeah, all in all, that's a good start. Now, onto the actual lead generating activities. So, we need to follow up with Natalie. Natalie, we did an entire website build for 2SP. And I need to follow up with her in terms of getting the website launched. So, unfortunately, clients will go quiet on you sometimes. So we built the entire website, and just a status update on this. We said some additional changes need to be made before launched. We had a medical emergency that was more 3 weeks ago. The first everything is okay, responded right away, talked to you Friday. She did not show up on the call that she had scheduled for Friday. Then I just sent a longer email letting her know that this was not acceptable. And then moving forward with, hey Natalie, hope you had a great weekend, just checking in here, start of the next week. 2 days later, again, hey Natalie, I thought it would be time to go ahead and flight launch. I haven't heard back. What should we do from here? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new thread. So I am going to provide a little bit of urgency into this process, which at times is necessary because if you have the client's best interest at heart, it is a good thing that you install urgency into the process, because when a website needs to get launched, it just needs to happen sometimes. So I'm going to move the mic down here and take you guys through what I'm going to say in response. So I'm going to start a new thread titled website launch. Titled at Nat. Hey Nat, exclamation point. Hope you're having a great week, period. We have everything we need in place to launch the website, ... Any final updates regarding Go High Level, CRM, etc. before we push it live, question mark? Just got a light touch in here. I normally wouldn't recommend having these fluffy things kind of fill in right there. But yeah, no worries. Any final bits, concerns? It's a light touch in there. And you guys can kind of see throughout this how I'm prioritizing. Always start with people who are bottom of the funnel. This could be inbound messages, people you're already in active conversations with, people that you've already worked for, kind of like on a tier basis, if I could explain this. So if we could conceptualize a sales funnel here, the best way to structure your outreach, we picture 3 different versions here. You always want to start here at the bottom. So at the top, or starting at the bottom, we have like active conversations. Conversations, follow-ups, inbound. Always start there because that is the most time sensitive, and a lot of times these are the people that are closest to conversion. So when you structure what you do in a day, always start with people at the bottom. In the middle here, we have middle of funnel. So this could include things like colder conversations, non-time bound follow-ups, and outreach. Oh, a good one that could include here, outreach to existing customers. The thing about having multiple LinkedIn tabs open is that they each notify you every time they get the same message, so that's quite annoying. But yeah, and then top of funnel here, this would be cold conversations, and content communities. So you'll be able to see that in terms of how I'm starting. Lord, so many messages. This is what you guys will see when you start to very much prioritize outreach, as I've done with the agency, is that you'll be getting all these messages that take your time away. You'll be very convinced to go and tempted to go put out fires. When in actuality, this doesn't seem like the most pressing thing, but lead generation is always the most pressing thing. It's always a bottleneck. That is the difference between an agency that is starving and an agency that is successful. Only difference is demand and pipeline. So that's conceptually how I'm thinking about this. Next, I have another follow-up to send, which is the translation team. So a little bit of update on this status right here. We initially proposed to them a site updates, and they last responded, "Hi Andy, I will get to it soon. Friday, I initially sent over this proposal. Beautiful proposal with 2 different options for SEO and lead gen work, single time build, and no risk partnership. And this is an interesting one, and I have an idea for positioning this next one. So I followed up once, and she said I would get to it Friday. She did not get to it that Friday. I would get to it soon, happy Friday. So I'm going to respond once more and say, hey, Matewa, thank you so much for the kind words on LinkedIn, and I love the latest blog post you guys shared. Smiley face emoji. I have an idea for how we can make the partnership work. Random thought, I have a idea for how we can make the partnership work. Good. Can we get on a call soon to discuss, question mark? Okay, so this is the thing. So I have notifications set up on this proposal, so I know that she has seen the proposal, and look how beautiful this is, guys. Like, very personalized, very social proof heavy reinforcement. And even like a signatory here, which is amazing, no risk guarantee. I know that she has seen this already, so I'm not going to come back and say, hey, just circling back here. Never say just circling back here. The highest leverage thing I could say here was, hey, Build Candor, thank you so much for your kind words on LinkedIn. Love the latest blog post you shared. I have an idea for how we can make the partnership work. I have an idea for next steps on the I don't know if that's my personality, but I love saying happy day of the week because it just radiates positivity. Trying to do it, sure. So this gives her an out. This doesn't force her to say no. It doesn't force her to make a decision. All she's saying yes to now is a call. It doesn't force her to make a decision about this, which when I'm telling you guys every single time, when someone delays getting back to you on a proposal, it's because they don't want to tell you no. Sad truth, it's true. So that's not a bad thing, but what we can do is force the decision that they have to make. Instead of saying yes or no over email, they can now say yes or no to a call. It's a lower commitment for them. It's also in the future. So if they were to say yes to proposal, it's instant. It's an investment. They instantly have to invest time into the project, which is why you want to make it seem as low lift for them as possible. So what we do now is we just say, make them commit to something less, just a call. So I'm going to send that and to her. Another good thing you can do when you are waiting to hear back on a proposal, something you can do is that I've had work very well before, is to send them a LinkedIn recommendation. So if you guys don't know how to do this, essentially what you can do is you can go to a person's profile, shout out to Vincent, you go to these 3 dots here, and you can say recommend. Now, it'll let you basically leave them a testimonial. And this is amazing because it appears in their inbox, so it notifies you. It forces them to click into it to accept, or else it's just a constant notification. And it's a chance for you to say kind words and hype them up. So if you ever have a customer who you've connected with on LinkedIn, leave them positive words about the collaboration, about working together, and not only will they likely get back to you, it's a good time to hype them up, reinforce them, say kind words. So they're more likely to respond positively. It's that goodwill bias. So those are a few things that you can do. Now that I've set all of my follow-ups, nice. Okay, so next thing, shout out to Nathan there too. So again, distraction. I shouldn't be doing this. Next up on my list is another email that I need to send to Chris over at Webflow, or Chris over at, saw Webflow there, Chris over at Vibers. So we had initially Chris. I initially reached out to him. He was on vacation about a month ago. And I want to get back on his mind for a conversation. Hey Chris, exclamation point. Hope the travel was well and you're enjoying a wrap to the summer, my friend. Could still love to connect to him. Would still love to connect soon if you're game, period. I have availability pretty much anytime next week, so feel free to throw a time on my calendar. Or if it's easier, you can use this link here. Smiley face emoji. Cheers, Get it as easy as possible. Networking call. Brief, make it as easy as possible. He had alluded to needing some work done on one of their websites, so that could be a good time to rekindle the conversation. I've already left him a LinkedIn notification, or a LinkedIn request, or a LinkedIn testimonial. So, yeah, that's good there. Next up on my list, that is basically finished my bottom of funnel activities, and I probably could have gotten through that a lot quicker, but this should be the first thing that you guys do every morning, and I usually do, but I just saved it for the purposes of this video and walkthrough. But yeah, now my goals are to do podcast email nurture. So this is I got flagged by YouTube last time for sharing this. So I'll share my podcast pipeline here and then adjust the visibility of the cards so that they may want to be showing all my emails here. Yeah, the emails. Yes, so I have I'll just be sure to show this to you of the CRM. So what I have done is, holy shit. I have all the contacts. I have these assigned at different stages in the podcast pipeline. So what I need to do is, and I have the different stages in the other one, but it shows their email, and I want to do that again. I need to send follow-ups to the people who have not responded, and basically just push things down the line. I have multiple statuses that identify them as whether I set the outreach, whether I'm connected with them and have an outreach yet, whether they have responded, and we're just in the booking phase. So my goal is to send the follow-ups with these, and I could probably use Claude even to identify these emails, but I have the API hooked up with Claude as well. So keep this pipeline nurture probably do that for about 15 minutes or so, and that is what I'll do next. So I'm going to hide this now and then kind of talk through all of the emails that I send. What it does a good job of is it does a good job of storing the email history natively per each contact, which again I will show, but it makes it really easy to go through all these different statuses and be able to send emails. So some of these people I've even gotten on calls with, and they have agreed to doing a podcast. So very high leverage to follow up with them quite quickly. What I'll do here is I'll go to my web, and I'll only bring up the emails while I sent them. Well, literally as we speak, someone I was just about to follow up with has now booked. So now what I will do is I will now change his status to booked, which I already did because they already agreed to. So I need to follow up with Diane next. Hi. I have a canned email that I've sent to others. I also have the hotkey to set up the podcast onboarding. Hey Diane, exclamation point, hope you've had a great week. Following up here from our conversation on LinkedIn, I would love to have you on the podcast, period. We can make it, I understand that you haven't done a podcast, but I promise you, you will never be on an easier one than this one right here. Laughing face emoji, laughing face emoji. if you would like to come on. No pressure either way, but here's how we usually handle next steps. Watch this. Podcast onboarding. Time on the calendar, this page, after you grab a time. Thank you again for the engagement on LinkedIn, exclamation point. Looking forward to spotlighting you, my friend, dude. This has the dedicated podcast calendar link. Again, onboarding, personalizing the booking experience for where they're on the customer journey. If they're getting this, if a guest is getting this from a cold email, you really want to do everything you can to position yourself positively. Without a doubt, you need to make this not feels like a sales call. Headshot, clear description, social proof, leading back to the podcast URL, bombarding them with social proof. Can't speak highly enough of social proof. And getting that to them. And boom, a new message from Tim, cold email. And boom, set that to Diane. Your calendar, I just booked from that. Oh, it says EA. Nice. $827, 1 week from today. For okay, period. Thanks so much, Kevin. Thanks so much, guys! Exclamation point. I will add the Riverside Studio link here shortly. So, bond it to someone who expressed interest but had not responded yet. Hey Jennifer! Exclamation point. Just wanted to know when wanted to record, dude. If it's a busy season, comma, no hard feelings either way, dude. Feel free to throw a time on the calendar, even if it's a few weeks out. So that way, it's on there, period. Yeah, no. Give them an easy out. Cheers. So that all days. Hey Nina! Exclamation point. Love to have you on the podcast sometime soon, period. If it's a busy time and visibility and having free content generated for you isn't a priority, I completely understand. Being on the best podcast you've ever been on isn't a priority, I completely understand. Just let me know! Exclamation point.
Hey, Andrea! Exclamation point.
Last time I'll check in here, dude. Happy Thursday. On the podcast. Also, a small note about emails. Having a killer footer like this, website, LinkedIn, podcast, phone number, email. Like, come on, guys. If you got an email from the smiling, gorgeous face right here, would you not respond? That's a low hanging fruit right there. Gotta have a killer email footer.
Bid.
Okay, so I'm gonna try and use the Claude integration here to do something. Hey, so I want you to use the podcast Stream 100 group in the Folk connector. I want you to look at all the people who are noted as outreached. I've sent all of them an email. What I want you to do is I want you to send a follow-up message on that thread to each of them individually with the following message. Hope your Thursday is off to a great start. Just checking in.
Yes, being on the podcast.
If it's too busy of a time for quick podcast, comma, we would still love to spotlight you either way. Period. On the podcast, period. I promise this isn't cold spam, lol. So see how well this works. This would be a big help. While that's running, I'm going to do some commenting on strategic accounts here. So another tip for you guys is to have notifications turned on for everyone that's in your sales funnel. This is a bit more manual, but it's something that I have found to be productive. Also, always respond to people who commented in your post. That's something that is so important. Okay, website number one. A post from yesterday, I didn't totally respond. Python.
Based on my experience.
Stop it.
Clay is the man. Shout out to Clay. Exactly. ... That's why I was so keen to chat with Christina. Speaking from personal experience. ... Learning was hard enough when it was still in textbooks. Laughing face emoji. I don't envy today's kids growing up with this. Melting face emoji. One shot.
the kids in higher ed today. Something I've been leaning to a bit more in content is like clearly staking a claim. So if you look at the recent impression, the stuff that always does the best is things that are potentially rage baiting. And I say that in the best word possible because really it's meant to curate a good conversation. So like this one, I claimed that AI design stuff was basically design slop. And a lot of people agreed with that. A lot of people didn't like it either. So, and it actually attracts good comments, which is the crazy thing, is that a lot of the rage bait stuff will actually show, it filters out people that are actually reading your content and evokes an emotion to start the conversation. The side tab borders drive me absolutely insane.
Your post inspired this! Exclamation point! Shout out to you.
Just doing
About 60 people and around marked 55 with an email on, so I was switching.
yes. Show me the what's first, bro. It truly shines a light on what good looks like, and to your point, heighten the 4 period. I can tell right away when a site is custom or built on a CMS, or a company truly invests in brand, period.
The designers, marketers, and product people who are able to capture that feeling and do so repeatedly are going to own the market for the people that seek this kind of design out, period. Great comment. We send up, period. Appreciate you, period.
And, I completely agree, period.
I think what we're seeing is the result of being truly, uninspiringly average. And that's usually what the output is reflective of.
example, comma. When something becomes increasingly easy to create, then it becomes that people then over time after things become saturated, comma, people eventually tend to evaluate whatever is scarce, period. Good design is now scarce, so therefore I think we'll see a lot more companies begin to seek it out in order to not be, to your point, mediocre. Okay. Done responding to comments. And see, if I were in lead gen mode, right now I'm focused on a few other things, but I would always recommend for someone who's just getting started posting on LinkedIn to whoever comments or engages on your post, start a conversation with them. It's the easiest and say, hey, name, appreciate you engaging on the most recent post. Would love to chat sometime or continue the conversation based on what their content was. These are basically 21 leads that I have. Now, once you have an ICP, then it makes it a lot easier to just pick out. So anyone in your ICP, obviously, go in and start a conversation with. But view this as a hand raise. These are now marketing qualified leads. And if you have a referral partner strategy in place, it's always good to go in and nurture those because that's where the conversation starts. Checking back in on Quad here. Holy shit. 55, blah. That'll frick. Go ahead and follow up with all of them and send me emails as I template into them. After you send out the emails, move those contacts to the follow-up stage of the Podcast Dream 100 group. Just makes sense? Question mark? While that is working, I'll show you guys some of the video outreach we did today. So I sent 3 video DMs, but I've been using a pretty killer format. I got a response on one almost right away. So I'll share with you, I've been ideating on the subject lines for these, but I've been using an email scraper to verify. Hunter.io is super awesome for verifying email addresses, and it's free, which is crazy. But what I've been doing is if I send a Loom video to the decision maker of the company, in this case it was the CEO, recording a quick video on Tela, leading with social proof and case studies. And I'll be honest with you guys, I tend to be a little bit more hyping of myself up than I normally am. So it tends to be a little bit uncomfortable, but it's not a bad thing. And I've actually kind of leaned into it. And it's easier to have confidence when you have a clear niche and you have like proven case studies and things that work. So if I go in and personalize these emails and I don't send them through a cold email tool like instantly, what it can do is it can actually propagate my headshot because it's sending from native Gmail, and it plays this little animated GIF with their website in the background. It's a good cue to look at it. And in the video, I basically very personalized the outreach to them, mentioning that we connected on LinkedIn. You and I just connected. I fucking just connected. Mentioned their company name. Mentioned that I added a WordPress site, linked to some beautiful websites or case studies of beautiful websites so you can see the work. Give them an easy out. Congratulations on the success, and thank you for pushing the industry forward. And this video is about 60 seconds, and going over other things. But the way Hunter has been working is I kind of bounce between these two of Finder and Verifier. So as you can see, I've already used this a few times. But you can put in a company domain here, and it gives you the cadence. So if you notice, a lot of companies have like first name dot last name at companydomain.com. That varies. Sometimes it's just first name at companyaddress.com. Sometimes it's first initial, last name. So what this does is it services as a domain search, and you can also type in their name and find a company, and it'll reveal it directly. And once you have one, you can also use this verifier tool and put one in, and it will allow you to, and it's only half a token. You get like a certain amount of free ones. This is fantastic. So this workflow I've really been doubling down on. Also, Folk has native enrichment as well, so that's been very helpful to kind of see that. So usually when I add someone, I'll start on LinkedIn. Folk has a native MCP connector, so if I go to Nathan Mins right here and then just click this, what I can do is like, it actually recognizes the page that I'm on. I can add them to any group that I already have natively within there, and then when I open up Bulk again, they'll be added to there. I can also assign their pipeline stage here as well. So it's currently sending emails out of the wazoo. We might hit a rate limit here because it's sending 55, but it looks to be doing a pretty good job. And now if I go back here to sent, I should be starting to see things out of the wazoo here. A refresh. Yeah, here we go. Wow. Yeah, that's efficient. And the only reason I'm hesitant to do that sometimes is because A, rate limits, and B, it doesn't maintain your footer or your email signature, which is, again, a slight 1 to 2 point drop in credibility and delivery. Here, which will happen. Just a failure. It's not great. 2 out of 55 still isn't bad though, but it should have been already calculated based on an email that I sent with them. And now it's also updating their status within Folk, which is super helpful. So yeah, I love that. That's made my morning incredibly easy. So I do have an engagement here in a few minutes. I guess that might be a good place to wrap up. But yeah, so this is basically what my lead generation activities looks like. It's been about an hour. And really sticking on this message right here, prioritizing the correct things and doing those in the right order. And what I'd recommend doing is setting a goal based on how long you want to spend or how much time you have to spend on outreach. And again, guys, I would recommend doing this the first thing every day, because this is, as a founder, this is your highest leverage activity. If you think about a business like a pipeline, so let me attempt to do this again. I'm a big fan of this idea called bottleneck thinking. So let me hopefully illustrate this clearly. Say if you have multiple phases of a pipeline, for instance. So we have multiple phases of the pipeline right here. And hang with me in terms of this analogy right here. Let's say if we have marketing and area 1. No. Marketing. Sales. Product delivery. I hit 4 just for the sake of this example. So the basics of bottleneck thinking here is we have 4 different phases of the funnel. What you have to do is identify the bottleneck so that subsequently the business can move forwards. So if we have marketing right here, the reason marketing is always positioned first is because in most businesses, it is the biggest constraint. Usually at any business under 10K a month, and I've just been reading about this and from multiple sources, it is the biggest constraint. So you always want to focus on marketing and sales as your highest leverage activity. What a lot of companies do is they try and optimize their processes right here. So in order to conceptualize this, they will spend all of their time widening their capabilities at this phase right here. And if customers start here and make their way through into your bank account, so paid customer, you spend all your time in the beginning optimizing for delivery, making sure that everything is running smoothly, account management, things like that. That would be another phase in here. But if you don't spend your time, you spend your time all your time here on delivery before you have any demand or marketing or anyone knows what you do. That is the problem to solve in the beginning. With any new business, your biggest problem is people just don't know who you are. That's why it takes these activities to accelerate that timeline. It can be a multitude of different channels that you find to work for you. It takes a lot of experimentation. But really, it takes time, and it takes you prioritizing it to immediately open the bottleneck here, because when you start, it's looking like this. Very slow. And if it's not a lot can get through here, then these areas slow down as well. And you can see the problem here, because if you spend all of your time on delivery in the beginning and you have crap marketing, this is completely ineffective. This is a complete waste of time. You have no business optimizing delivery when you don't have demand to begin with. So traditionally, business will go back and forth, the common freelance trap of going back and forth and never being balanced. And I've been on this side as well. But if you have your priorities straight and you have some method of doing these activities right here every single day, you are building a moat and protecting yourself from that. So this is the boring work. I appreciate you guys sticking around. Stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll be doing these every single day. And reminder to do the hard things. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.